another edition of On the Trail in Search of Living Legends, episode 20. I'm here with my co-host and partner, Nick Valente. Nick, how's it going, brother?
Hey, I'm doing really good. And folks, it's going to be Jay and I tonight. Our guest had an emergency at the last minute and had to pull out. However, I have a Dogman field investigation that I actually just went on today.
Nice.
Here it is, the beginning of May, and I already got close to a dozen calls. Reason I went on this one today, I only took two of my guys with me, and they got a free lunch out of it, which was really great. And I'll describe it all to you about it. But yeah, we got a field investigation today in the beginning of May in New Jersey, and we'll go from there. And my partner here, Jay, he'll describe a couple of his Dogman encounters also to throw it in there. I know we don't have a guest, but sometimes we can be just as entertaining and
absolutely
insightful as a guest can be, because we're doing this from the heart. We do cryptozoology, because we love, cryptozoology, the investigation part, the research part. The reading I do on this, traveling here and there.
Yeah.
I'd like to put a plug in for Josh Turner's Dogman Cryptid conference. That's going to be happening September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in Fort Worth, Texas of 2023. That's this coming September. I'll be there. Jay, I don't know if you could free up yourself at the time.
I'm trying. I told him I was on a show last night, and I told him I was going to try to make it. I gave you a nice plug last night in the show, Nick.
Oh, good. That's excellent. Last year we had it in Paris, Tennessee, Jay, and I'm going to tell you, it was an overwhelming success. The first night is always VIP night. And VIP night, Josh hands out goodie bags to everybody. And the goodie bags have about $70, $75 worth of swag in there and stuff that you would order normally.
Yeah.
I'm talking patches, shirts, hats, books, a whole I don't want to give away everything, that he gives out, but he gives out a lot of stuff. Plus VIP night, we have all the speakers are there. So the people that pay that extra, they're there and they get a dinner. Just going out to dinner is going to run you about $40, $45, unless you go and eat on the cheap. You're eating a couple of hamburgers or something, but still it's going to run you $20. This is high end brisket barbecue stuff, chicken they had. They even had vegan stuff. They had southern beans. They had all kinds of salads there. And so, it was outrageous. But the thing is, I want to say is if you buy a VIP ticket, it's for September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So you're saying to yourself, oh, I'm going to pay that much? No, you got to remember what you're getting.
Yep.
You're getting for 3 days worth, number one, plus you're meeting all the speakers, you're getting the swag bag, and you're getting your dinner. I'm sorry, when you add it up, I'm not trying to push it on anybody, but when you add it up, it's really a good deal.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So that'll be this September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Nice. So Nick, where do you want to head with this?
Well, let me start off with what was going on. Now, since I formed the International Dogman Project, which, by the way, Jay is one of my big admins, and he's in the inner circle.
Proud to be so.
And I'm just so happy to have him. Because he's like, I had to promote him to a 14 researcher last week when we did a show, because I got to tell you, he has added so much to all of the different sites that he goes to. He's an admin in all my sites. It's just, people are interested in reading what's going on out there. And I don't know how you find some of the stuff, but it's great. It's just fantastic. And no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it because you're helping. But International Dogman Project, I get on the average nowadays it's now up to about 20 to 45. How can I put it? Either calls, emails, or Facebook messages about sightings and encounters that people have had. I've had well over a dozen sightings. I want to say there was no encounter, but it was sightings in ready for this? In New Jersey. It's upper southern, southwestern New Jersey. It's near the Pennsylvania border, very near, very close. It's called Lambertville, New Jersey. Now, this is going to come as a shock to a lot of people that know Lambertville, New Jersey, because there's a bridge right there near the water. It goes right over to New Hope, Pennsylvania. So like I said, this area is touching Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania has had a lot of sightings over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But I've got a dozen different communications, let's put it that way, because I'm going to combine it all, emails and Facebook Messenger messages and telephone calls. And when I was there today, I could only get two of my other guys to go with me. They got treated to lunch today at a really great barbecue place in Lambertville. Fantastic place. The owner was marvelous. He was wonderful. We're in uniform, so he was wondering what we were doing, where we were coming from. When you're going into wooded areas, you're going to wear protective clothing. So we had our black BDU pants on, and we have a specific type of patterned shirt. It's a combat shirt that we wear. We did not bring any weaponry or anything inside the restaurant. Reason why I'm bringing up restaurant is because, when you're out there and you're walking around for 3 or 4 hours, you're thirsty, you're hungry. It was up to 79 degrees today in Lambertville, New Jersey. What these people did was that they had a sighting of a wolf-like creature, bipedal, on 2 feet, in the Lambertville area. And it's an old area, Lambertville. I took photos of where they saw it. Where most of the reports came from was a small, I want to call it a stream, a river. It used to be used as a barge river where the horses would walk on the pathway. The barge would be in the water and it would be connected via ropes, and they would pull it until they got to where a bridge was. They would disconnect, and then they would rehook up after they got past the bridge. And it's not really that big, but it is fairly deep. And something I want to bring to everybody's attention is the reason why Dogman was seen in this area, most likely now, is because that river is a water source for them and it's a food source. Absolutely. How I know it's a food source, the fish. All right. I saw a fisherman there, I saw several, but one guy in particular with his son, looked like his 14-year-old son, 15-year-old kid. Kid could really toss a line out too. And so could the dad. And they had about 5 fish that I think measured about 10 inches, and they were pretty thick fish. So you usually get catfish and sunnies and other things in that kind of water, and they're good to eat. Same thing for Dogman. And I'm thinking that's the reason why. I did find footprints. It looked like a human footprint, only the toes were a little bit longer, and you had claw marks on the toes on the end, which definitely dug into the ground. And it wasn't 1 or 2 footprints. It was several dozen in this one area. One of the ladies that had reported the sighting said that she saw claw marks on a tree. I didn't find that tree, even though she gave me the street. She told me where to go and everything. We were down by the water, and I couldn't find the claw marks on the tree. I don't know what she was doing so close. The sighting. Yeah, I saw something like what she described to me. I had to laugh myself, just like you did. She's telling me this creature was, at least the size of an NBA basketball player. I don't know who she was talking about, but I'm figuring, 6'9", 7 feet.
Yeah.
Down by the water, on 2 feet, into the water, out of. And when it saw her and her crowd of people, she had about 5 people with her, so they all witnessed it. Thursday night, about 5:30ish, so it was still light out. At least it's light out here in Jersey at 5:30. And it took off. It took off up the hill, off the bank, and it disappeared. So, I mean, I guess it was in there looking for something to eat or getting a drink
Yeah.
of water or whatever. But that's one of the sightings that we had investigated. Now, like I always tell people when I do these interviews and I talk about when we go on field investigations, I try to interview the people first. Now, out
Sure.
of the dozen sightings that got reported, I only got to talk to 3 of the people, but they did come forward. And this one lady who was with her group on a Thursday at 5:30, she wanted to meet us there and show us all the stuff, where, when, and how. And I said, no, that's okay. Let me check the area out because I know Lambertville. I know the area. It's a quaint old town. I mean, you've got buildings there still from the 1800s. It's a wonderful tourist area. But where we went was a little bit deeper. We followed like I said, follow the stream down. I put a stick in the beginning portion of it and right near the bank area. And that stick went down a good 3 feet. So I can imagine that the center was a bit deeper.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's good for fishing and everything. And I checked the other areas where the other 2 people who I did get to speak to said that they had a sighting and the area was close to the area where this lady saw it. So, at least I got some footprints. I got some pictures of the area. I'll post it up on the different sites, this Tuesday or Wednesday. Unfortunately, I got to work for a long time on Monday, so I won't be able to do it, till Tuesday or Wednesday, but I'm going to definitely put it up and I'll put a good write-up on what we saw and what we did and, what was in the area. This way people know what to look out for when they do go on a field investigation. Now, remember, this isn't some area that is forested. This is an area where it's river and you've got some weeds and grass growing already. But it's not a forest area. So I'm wondering where the Dogman or where his family members or whatever, where they went off to. That's something I tried following it as far as I could. I didn't see anything going up the bank, but I did see on the bank where it stepped in there and, it was moist at the time because it had been raining here.
Yeah.
So it did leave footprints. So there's the thing that we do. That's what we do in cryptozoology. You can only follow your leads and go out there and see what's going on.
Yeah. It's all about following the data.
That's it. And just enter the data down and everything.
You got to follow the data, follow your evidence, follow up with witnesses, interview the witnesses before, you do interviews like we do. I like to talk to people beforehand. I just actually had a call. Well, you and I were supposed to meet with the girl that night, and I think she got nervous. I think she didn't want us to think she didn't want us to think she was foolish. Now, but her husband talked to me in full about the report. They live about 15 miles away from me, near that state park I was telling you about that's infested with dogmen.
Yeah.
She went out to the garage for a screwdriver, and at this point, it was still a little bit icy in the swamps, and she could feel something crunching on 2 legs. And she had a big illuminated flashlight, and she shined into the swamp, and there staring at her is this big, tall, black dogman. She said it looked just like the head of a wolf or a German shepherd, straight up pointed ears. And she said it took off. It was only a glimpse, but it took off. We were supposed to have her on the show, but I think she just got a little nervous, like people do.
Yeah.
People don't want you to think they're nuts, but I mean, hey, people thought I was crazy for years, and I really don't care.
You know what? I really don't care what, I just had to answer a text from the lady. She wanted to know what we found. So,
okay.
I mean, she's invested in it,
Yeah.
I mean, some people aren't, some people are. And I let her know what we found because she wanted to know if she was crazy or not. And
Yeah.
just you see what you were just saying though? The lady didn't want to come on because she thought people would think that she's crazy.
Yeah.
That's the whole deal with it out there and today. People see Sasquatch, Mothman, Dogman, other things out there, and they don't want to report it. And Jay, this is 2023.
Yes.
I mean, you've got people coming out of the closet for every which thing that people would have back in the 70s thought, oh, we don't want to know you anymore because of this or
Right.
that. And this is 2023. People don't care, but
No.
still people do care about what other people think.
Yeah.
But you know what? I had a sighting. Actually, I call it an encounter because I was only like 30 feet away from a real dog man back in 2013. And I'm not going to back down from it ever. I don't care what anybody says to me. I know what I saw.
Yeah.
And I've been out there in the woods. I've been up to Washington State, up where Nate Rudd lives in that area. Yeah. Well, he's East Coast. I was in the northwestern area with a buddy of mine, and my buddy was bear hunting. And I'm going to tell you something. I saw a brown bear out there, and not more than 100 yards away from us. This thing was gigantic. Other animals that I've seen out there. I saw a dog man on that night of September 13th, 2013, and nobody's going to be able to change my mind on it. I know what I saw.
Yeah.
I've been down in Florida to the Everglade areas. I've seen alligators out there. I mean, yeah. Science has come forth and said alligators are real. Okay. But how many people do you know have really seen an alligator? How many people do I know have seen an alligator? I could tell you how many, about 6. And I know a lot of people.
It's like the moose up here. I mean, we've got in the Adirondacks, we have tons of moose, but you rarely ever see them.
Exactly. And by the way, from what I understand, and I've only seen one moose through a pair of binoculars when I was in Canada, and they are huge, 1,300 pounders, massive antlers, and they're aggressive.
Oh.
So, I mean, I'm glad I was watching this thing through a pair of binoculars and not anywhere close to them.
Yeah.
Because they're very aggressive. I mean, if you're on a highway and you stop your car and they're crossing the roadway, I've read reports of where they'll, put their heads down and nail your car.
Yeah, your car.
Then what do you do? I mean, hello, State Farm. Yeah, I pack sand, bark at the moon. And we can't believe that. You rammed it into a fence. It's your fault. And they'll charge you for it. I guess you're gonna have to show them your passport. I was in Canada. See, look, right here. And by the way, folks, if that ever does happen to you, you do have to report it to some police authority and try to get a number and something where they can email you the police report because your insurance is going to need it.
Yeah. DC, state police, somebody.
Yeah. I mean, granted, you're going to say, oh, this is a cryptozoology program. What does that got to do with it? Well, it's just for your everyday life.
Right.
Just like I tell you to, keep aware of your self-awareness of your surroundings. I always mention look up because you never know what's up there, either up on a building or up in a tree when you're in the forest. I mean, these things can hurt you.
Yes.
You never know. It's everything from, first of all, Dogman and Sasquatch have been known to climb trees. Bears can climb trees.
Yep.
You have mountain lions that can climb trees. A funny one is we were out on a field investigation. I'm sorry, that lady got back to me again.
It's all right.
We were out on a field investigation and we got attacked. I'm sorry, it's funny, but we got attacked by a squirrel. A squirrel was throwing down acorns, throwing them down, and it hit a couple of us in the helmet. And then we're like, what the heck was that? We look up and there's a squirrel up there and he's just dropping it. I don't know. I guess he's dropping acorns to see if they'll break open, I guess. I don't understand. I mean, I don't think he was trying to attack us, but all right. She appreciates the information. Okay. And I told her to watch this program because I'm mentioning about it, on the program today. So when we put it out, I'll send it to her and to the other 2 people that did come forward. Yeah. I'm still going to try to interview the other 9, but some people, they want to report it, and they just don't want to, be online, and they don't want their name associated with it or anything.
Right.
They just want to report what they saw, and that's the end of it.
Like you said earlier, it's 2023. How many thousands of years has these sightings been going on? Okay.
Yeah.
Not all of these thousands and thousands of people for thousands of years are lying. Especially the Native Americans, you know what I mean? Why would these indigenous all over and I'm not talking just in the US, Nick. I'm talking all over the world. You got Mokele and Bembe in Cameroon and Congo. Yep. They showed them numerous pictures, of a hippopotamus. Is that it? Of other animals. Is that it? And then they got to a brontosaurus looking creature and they said, that's it. That's it. Now you tell me, what did these people gain? What would they gain by lying about that?
And a lot of people just come to us and say, listen, I have this sighting. I'm just telling you about it. You don't have to check it out or anything. I just want to let you know. Maybe you want to put it down in your notes or whatever. And if you're ever in the area, take a look.
Yeah.
And that's it. I just want to give you the sighting. Same thing with Sasquatch. And I mean, there are more. I got to say, there are hundreds of more Sasquatch organizations out there than there are Dogman organizations. Maybe thousands.
Maybe.
Maybe. But my friend John Kershaw, he's a boots on the ground guy in Australia.
Okay.
John, he has a program that he puts on, creepy cryptids. He contacts me all the time. He publishes his stuff in my Facebook group, the Quad Coalition of Sciences. Thank you. And he's out there. He now got a what do you call it? A quadcopter, or what do they call them? A drone with the four lifters on it.
Yeah.
And he's puts that sucker high in the sky, and I think he's got about a 40-minute fly time now.
Wow.
Unbelievable aerial footage. Unbelievable area footage of places that he couldn't possibly go into. And he's got to buy about a mile that he could push it to go in before he would lose it. God forbid he wants to lose that, because that thing cost him a pretty penny.
Yeah, sure.
And I mean, he's putting some really good footage. Now, John has had some experiences with Dogman out there. He was in a canoe in the water, canoe-like boat. I should back up on that. I don't know what kind of boats they have, but it's something that he was able to put a motor on. And it was a good thing, because he saw a Dogman go from the land into the water, and he's watching in fascination. And then it started swimming and towards him. Oh, the guy didn't skip a beat. Boom, he banged it up and he got out of there. And he didn't stop until he was a couple of miles away. He docked it and, called his wife to bring the truck over, and they got his boat out of there. But he saw this thing coming at him like an Olympic swimmer.
Did he mention how it swam, Nick? Did it swim with its arms, or just kick with its legs like a Sasquatch does?
I believe it was going just a little bit above the water and then in, like a paddling motion.
Yeah.
I'm doing this, but I mean, like I would do this, if I was swimming. I think he was showing me on video, like we are now, was kind of difficult, but I think it was like this. Whoops, straight in and then down, straight in and then down. So it's almost like a doggy paddle, but coming out of the water and then down. Boom.
No pun intended.
No, not at all. Like I was saying, when you're out there in the field, you're going to want to take notes and everything. And you can't always take pictures. Maybe you want to write things down, make sure you have a pen with you. And what I've been coming out with, giving some of my field investigators are the International Dogman Project field books. These things are waterproof, by the way.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
I mean, they have nice pages in there, and they're thin. You can keep them in a pocket. I'm putting these things out. so that people would have something to write in and everything. But you really need to put your thoughts down right then and there. And if the people, you could take down what the people are telling you right then and there also. You can't
Yeah.
just remember all this stuff because it just,
No.
flies by you. I mean, any investigator knows that sometimes old school is better.
Yeah.
I don't like to get a recorder and put it in somebody's face and say, can you say that again? They're going to look at the recorder and go, oh my God, my voice is going to be on it. I don't want that.
Yeah, it
But
makes me
sometimes-
nervous.
Yeah, but sometimes if you just write down people's thoughts and you just express to them and tell them, say, listen, I'm not going to put your name down. I'm not going to say where you live, anything like that. I just want to put down where the sighting was, how many people saw it, time of day, the weather, and all that. And all this stuff helps. It helps in the research if we can, compile it. But, getting back to what you were saying, Native American Indians have been talking about Dogman for the longest time.
Oh, yeah.
They've been talking about well, we call it Sasquatch. They've got different names for it, or the different tribes have different names for it, but it all comes down to the same thing. How could tribes over on the East Coast, up where you are, down where I am here, know about the same thing, a Sasquatch, like down in Utah, for instance?
Yeah. They never had any communication with each other, but they're talking about the same creature.
No, yeah, and they're describing the same creature. Now, in my travels through the United States, up and down, north, south, east, west, all over, all the different states, even though the Native Americans would not talk to me, and boy, I wish I had you with me at the time because you're part Native American, right?
Yep.
I mean, you talk to them and tell them what you are. Most likely, they would give you a few morsels.
A few morsels, yeah.
They won't give me anything. They won't give me a darn thing. But I had to pursue the research. I had to go to the libraries and stuff that I read, that they whoever the people were at the time, the reporters or whoever reported what people were saying, and they're describing a huge hairy man with indescribable strength, lifting up one for instance, here's one from out in Oklahoma. The Native American there described in a newspaper article this huge hairy man, as big as a tree, and I guess he's talking about a large tree, killed and then lifted up and took off with a wild boar.
Oh my God.
And they asked him about what it weighed, and they said well over 100 pounds. It would be hard for me to, I would be able to lift one up, put it on my shoulder, but as far as running off with one,
yeah,
I think my energy level would start to go down after the first half a mile.
It's like that encounter I had with that dog man that I sent you the picture of. It was out back, and that thing, I tell you what, Nick, it was built like you were saying, like a basketball player, and I was probably 100 feet away. I still got a good glimpse at it. No one will ever change my mind, like you said. I know what I saw. This thing, it was gray in color, German Shepherd ears, long snout, and it had a deer upright. Okay, so the deer's legs were on the ground, but the whole belly of the deer was split open. I'm guessing it ripped it open with its claws,
Yeah.
But it sat there holding him, and I had my shotgun with me. So usually when you run into a predator, they're going to defend their kill.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that the shotgun maybe saved me that day.
How far away were you?
About 100 feet away.
Oh, oof, he definitely saw you then.
He said, because on my way out, I said, okay, if he decides to come after me, I'm gonna have to. I had a 15-round magazine in my 12 gauge. I said, I'm gonna buckshot. I said, I'm gonna have to unload on him. I don't want to. And I want everyone out there to know. We've said this several times. We are a no kill organization, but like Nick always says, we have a right to go in safe and a right to come out safe. And I thought I was gonna be dinner, but just imagine the strength it took. I have problems dragging a deer out of the woods by myself.
Yeah.
By the feet. This thing sat there and held it the whole time. It turned its head and watched me back out slowly.
Uh-huh.
It was just unbelievable.
Was it a buck or a doe?
From what I can tell, it was a doe.
Yeah, so it's probably what?
120 pounds.
120 pounds. Yeah, yeah. I think we would have a little problem getting that out of
A
there.
little bit of problem more than that. Yeah. Yeah.
Usually I know my buddies who do deer hunting, they'll pre-make one of these because, or if they have to make it in the woods, everybody always has paracord with them. You know,
Yeah.
about 100 feet of paracord. 100 feet of paracord comes in a little bundle like this. It's
Sure.
super strong cord, 550. I mean, it comes in 650, 750, 850 paracord also, but 550 is common. And you'll make like a triangle out of wood.
Yeah.
And you'll secure it with the rope and in the middle also, and you'll roll the deer or pull it over on top of it and then tie it, and it'll be easier to drag.
Yeah.
Because something like that, I mean, if you're walking backwards grabbing its hind legs, that's going to be a pain.
Yeah.
But generally what they'll do is they'll attach a thicker rope to the top of the triangle.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you can picture it. Here's the carrier, and then the deer's on top of it. Then at the top here, they got the thicker rope. You can put that over your back, and then you can just.
Right.
But I mean, holding it like this, I hope you have gloves, because you're going to get sweaty. You're going to slip. Their hooves are deadly.
Deadly.
That's why, unless you know that deer is dead, you don't go near it.
A big buck will mess up coyotes.
Yeah. And if they kick out at you, they could break your leg in a half a second.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, in its death throes, it could hit you. Therefore, you have to get a long stick and poke it. Maybe put one up here, just to make sure it's out.
Yeah.
And that's something I wanted to mention too while we're at it. I mean, might as well do some safety stuff for the folks out there. I was just watching, and I don't usually watch this. I was watching a show called Naked and Afraid, where they drop people off, with no clothes. I think they give you a little tiny satchel with stuff in it. Maybe
you're allowed to bring 2 items, I think.
Yeah, I think they had like some kind of fire starter and a kikuri. It's a curved blade.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is they captured this snake, a water moccasin. They're poisonous. And what the guy did was he called for his partner to come. They took the kikiri, they cut his head off. I want to mention that when you cut the head off a snake, that head is still deadly. It's still dangerous. It's still hopping around. It still wants to bite you.
Sure.
So folks, you cut that head off, you got the body and you chop the head off. Make sure it doesn't bounce at you, or maybe put some sticks on it and then whack it and make sure it's there, and you don't go near that head because it's still live. It's still active.
Yes.
It's something a lot of people don't know. And, you can't, that's awfully embarrassing. Gee, I got bit by the head of a snake. Oh yeah. No. I mean, just the head. It was only this big, but it bit me. Holy crap. Those things can bounce around. It still wants to bite you.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. But what happened then? You had a 15 round mag. I guess you had one in the chamber already, and
I had one ready to rock and roll, man.
This thing just walked away and
it stayed in its spot where it was watching me from, holding the deer up off the ground, had its arms wrapped around it. I sent you the picture a long time ago.
Yeah.
Had its arms wrapped around the deer. You can see where the belly was slit open. The bowels were on the ground. And all it did when I was backing out slowly, it didn't move its body. It just turned its head nice and slow like this.
And it's just looking at you.
Just looking at me.
And you're backing away and saying, okay, you stay there. I'm going.
I'm going. Yeah.
That's what I would put. I would put the thought waves in the air just in case it could read your mind, what's going on.
No, I was speaking to it. I'm backing away. I'm out of here. Oh,
you were verbalizing it, but I'm out of here.
Right. Yep.
Was that deer the back against its chest and the front was open towards you?
That's the one.
And he ripped it open already. Anything missing you can tell, or not from that distance?
From that distance, all I could see was a pile. It looked like the intestines on the ground.
Everything just fell out.
And just the whole gut sack looked like it had fallen out.
Wow.
It was quite a brutal sight. It's probably the most brutal sight I've ever seen out of a cryptid.
That's that I would consider an encounter.
Yeah.
Not a sighting. That was an encounter.
Yeah.
Whoa. He's looking at you saying, you want to take my dinner? Yeah. Okay. But you did the right thing. You're verbalizing, I'm out of here. That's the end of it.
And the one Stacy and I saw, I would consider that more of a sighting. We're coming back
in North Carolina.
No, this was in New York.
Oh, it was in New York.
In New York, yeah. We went to my parents for dinner, and we were coming back about midnight. And Stacy's got a lead foot. I'll base the facts. So I said, Stacy, and I could see something against a tree, from the distance we were. I said, Stacy, slow down. You're swerving. You're going to hit that guy. She said, what guy? And we get about 50 feet in front of our pull-in. We were living off the grid at the time. It's before we built our cabin.
Yeah.
So we pulled in. We went to, just before we pulled in, this thing, it's leaning. I can see it against the tree, and it's got a real smug, arrogant look on your face, on its face, which I'm sure you've heard before.
Yep.
Very arrogant looking, very confident.
That versus a Bigfoot is the most unusual thing. And you don't know how many times people have said that, it's that arrogant look. And I guess because it is an apex predator.
Yeah.
And it knows, it's like, we're king in this area. You're in my hometown, my neck of the woods. You leave. Otherwise,
because usually, they're not around that time of year. It was borderline between the time I told you before, it was borderline between the time the Dogmen move in and the Sasquatch move out. So it was just borderline. Then it turned away from the tree, hopped in the middle of the road, looked at us real quick, and then ran the rest of the way on our property.
Wow. So what were you, just curious, what were you living in at the time?
We were living in a camper building our cabin.
In a camper, and you were building the cabin at the time. Oh, wow.
That night we heard something slam against the camper and just about tipped it over.
Oh,
and here Stacy is. I want to go outside and see what that is. I said, tell you are. Tell you are. No, not a chance.
Oof. She wanted to go out there, huh? Was she going to take anything with her?
She was going to take the 12 gauge, but I still didn't feel comfortable with my wife going outside to the Dogman around.
No, I don't think so. I think the best thing you can do, and people have asked me this many a time, I hear something slam against my house. Something's tapping on the window. The best thing you can do is, if you have access to it, is flick on the outside lights.
Yes.
And if you don't have outside lights, I would definitely put floodlights, outside your house on all four corners.
We got them.
And make sure it does flood that area that you're concerned about, or maybe have lights with motion detectors to stop it in the first place from happening.
Exactly.
And maybe set those motion detectors to maybe a 2-minute or a 3-minute time period. Too many people have the motion detectors set to about 25 seconds.
Right.
And I don't see the benefit of that, especially nowadays where the light bulbs are LEDs. And LEDs, you get about 100,000 hours out of them, if not more.
Right.
So set it for 3 minutes. Why not? Why not keep that area lit up?
Right.
But, to each his own, I guess. But God, you guys, that was something. Did the two of you build that yourselves, or you had help?
We had help from a buddy of mine. Yep.
But it's the place you're in right now, right?
Yeah. They still, the Sasquatch, when they're around, they'll come knock on the knock on the walls, but they mean us no harm. I had my first encounter with one of them in 2000, and then that one in 2007 where she kind of realized I wasn't a threat, and that's when, don't get me wrong, we investigate other places where you can feel the tension in the air.
Yeah.
Several places where you can feel the tension in the air. Then
right.
Some other places like the land here, they're very chilled. That's why I've always said there's more types of the Sasquatch than people think. People label them type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. To hell with that. I deal with 2 up here alone in New York State. And then I dealt with another one down in North Carolina. They were all totally different. Built different. Look different. The features are different.
Yeah, like Dogman, there's 7 different types of Dogman, and so far we've identified 11 different types of Sasquatch. And you're absolutely correct; they're all different. Some don't really want to do any harm. Some know they can sense that you don't want to harm them, that you don't want to bother them, and they leave you alone, like the ones in your area. Yeah, you're one of the lucky ones.
Yes,
because that lady who with the case of the not Dogman, it was it turned out to be a Sasquatch. Hers was a little aggressive there because it got PO'd. But I mean, your squatches there, for some reason, they're not too bad. But you know what? Where you live, go up into Canada about 300 miles, and you'll have the Gugway up there, the face eaters, and they are aggressive. And First Nation people in Canada there will tell you about it. And once again, I want to say, thank you to the First Nation people up there that have spoken to me. This First Nation Indian people, Native Canadian Indians that have spoken to me, I do appreciate it because you really opened up my eyes and were able to bring out things that I never knew. Whereas in America, the Native American Indians will not talk to me. And I wish, like I said, I wish I did have you with me many of those times, like when I was in Arizona, when I was in Oklahoma, down in Texas, especially. I've been down in Texas a lot. That's it. No, we're not talking to you. That's it. As soon as you broach the subject, they won't even talk about Thunderbirds. And there's a lot of information about Thunderbirds out there. They will absolutely not talk about any kind of a cryptid, any kind of an animal that we don't have in our zoos. They will not talk about it. Just won't do it. Even the Native Americans that dress like you and I, in blue jeans and shirts, collared shirts and everything. Nope, it doesn't matter. There's just something going on, and they will not. I mean, maybe in the coming, 2 or 3 decades, maybe they'll open up a little bit more. But right now, no. It's a pity. I wish in my lifetime I would be able to get some of the information that they have.
And they'll still only give me, being that I'm not full-blooded, they'll still only give me tidbits. I don't get the whole stories.
It's still better than what I get. I get the hand, and then they just walk away. That's the end of our conversation. You want to talk about hunting, you want to talk about the roadways, you want to talk about the forest area, the known animals, bears, cougars, fox, coyotes. That's fine. But once I get on the subject of Dogman, Sasquatch, Thunderbirds, we're not talking. We're not talking about that. Goodbye. And I mean, it's just so abrupt that it borders on being rude, but I understand. I understand that from doing my own research that, they don't want to talk about it. It's like somebody coming to me and saying, hey, let's talk about your family, and your family secrets. And we don't have many secrets, but still, none of anybody else's business, a stranger. So I guess that's how they look upon it. But thankfully, over the years, my research, by reading newspaper articles, and I mean old articles, from newspapers into microfilm, microfiche, I've read about the trappers from back in the late 1780s and in the 1800 areas where they found out that Dogman protects the Native American burial grounds, their cemeteries and everything. What goes on there and why they protect it and everything. But at least they had some newspaper articles, written about that. So we at least have a little bit of insight of what's going on, how they respect the different Bigfoot out there. From what I understand, and I don't have a lot of information on this, I don't know, maybe you can enlighten me if you know anything, but out west more, this more out west than more in the eastern section. Back in the 1800s, the Native Americans used to talk about a tribe of very large, hairy men, which I guess are Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And they like I guess the narration all led to the fact that these hairy men were the size of trees, and so 8-footers, 9-footers, 10-footers, I guess, maybe bigger.
Maybe bigger.
And they got along with their tribes. So that's not too bad.
I mean,
That's a nice thing.
Good Lord, even stories of the Siffinelli, they call them.
Uh-huh.
There's stories of Marco Polo running into them. And we're talking hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And
that's true. Yeah.
Alexander the Great supposedly had run-ins with Yetis back in, I think it was close to 149 AD or somewhere around that period.
Imagine he crossed the Alps. he crossed the Alps with elephants. Unbelievable. Yep. I just can't fathom how they did that. But yeah, Alexander the Great did all that stuff, and they have it written down. Something about the past, and I mean way, way past, is people always kept a diary.
Always.
People always kept personal diaries, kings and queens, and they kept personal diaries, and they wrote in their diaries about this. I'm trying to think of that one brutal fighter from up in I guess he would be in the Russian area. Attila the Hun, that's who it is. Attila the Hun actually had an assistant who kept the diary for him. And he would say how he trained his soldiers, and he had trainers who trained his soldiers to fire with bow and arrows while on horseback and moving. I mean, that's why they were so devastating. And he even talked about these large, hairy men who it would take about 50 arrows to take down.
Imagine that. Wow.
And I'm saying, well, I wish you guys put a drawing of this stuff, because he drew a lot of stuff, or his assistant drew a lot of stuff, and there's diaries and stuff. So, it's like, people like Machiavelli, he was a mean person, but he kept diaries and he wrote books. Like I said, kings and queens, they all had their own personal diaries. And if you could read them, I mean, I guess you'd have to have your entire life trying to peruse everybody's diaries. But if you can get a hold of them and you did go through them, you're going to find mentions of these beings that they saw. Some of these beings that they saw were kangaroos. Some of these things that they saw were large gorillas and elephants. I mean, elephants were unheard of. But some of the stuff that they saw were like these large, hairy men. I mean, I guess that's a translation.
Yeah.
And hairy men, the size of a doorway. This one person wrote down back in Marco Polo's day. And the doorways were usually 10 feet tall that he was describing. So hairy men, 10 feet tall, what does that speak to you of? I would say Sasquatch.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And you know what? I don't want to bore everybody to death with this, but speaking of Sasquatch, just look at what we have. I'm just talking about my buddy John Kershaw down in Australia. He has Dogman over there. He also has the Yowie, I guess they call it, which is their Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Australia. All right. It's pretty far away from California and Washington State and Oregon, where we have the majority of our Sasquatch sightings, and Canada and stuff. And I mean, he's way far away, and they have him over there. How is this? How possibly is this? They're talking about in the rainforest in South America of these giant snakes that are circumference around is bigger than a manhole cover, and these things are 40 feet long.
Can you imagine?
I don't want to see a python or a boa or anything like that in my lifetime, to tell you the truth, up close and while it's living, and in person, unless it's in a zoo and they've got it behind about 3 inches thick of polycarbonate. Otherwise, I don't really want to see that thing.
Explorer, Nick, that supposedly in the Amazon back years and years ago, I think he was from France, encountered one of those big snakes. 20 feet of the snake was hanging into the water with its head above the water, and they shot it in the head and killed it. But there was another 20 feet of it on land.
Oh,
I cannot think of who in the heck that explorer would have been. But I was just reading about it the other day.
Dubois. I'm trying to think myself. Yeah, now you got me going. I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah, I'll check it.
But I mean, these explorers, they're crazy that they explore. This is way back when they didn't have the technology we have today.
Yeah.
A lot of the explorers nowadays, you don't have too many of them out there, but the ones that go out there, they go out there with thermal scopes. I'm talking about $3,000-$4,000 thermal scopes. And when you put, I have a lot of experience using thermal scopes. And when you put a thermal scope out there, you can see something. You're going to see the different colors of it, and you're going to see the shape. And if I'm looking through a thermal scope and I'm down in Bolivia or in the forest area of South America, and I see something that keeps on going and going and going, and it looks like the shape of a snake, I think I'm going to start backing up at that point.
Real quick.
Because they have pictures of these snakes, and I mean the smaller ones, just the 20-footers.
Yeah.
That devour alligators.
Yeah.
An 11-foot alligator. It's on YouTube. It's something that people can, check for themselves. It's easy.
And the Amazon killing the caiman.
Yeah. The Amazon, a lot of it's unexplored.
Oh, totally.
It's like, wow. The Amazon, it seems to me, from the reading I've done and from what I've seen on Discovery Channel, History Channel, and just YouTube, the Amazon is like Australia. Almost everything there wants to kill you.
Yeah.
You've got poisonous everything. The ticks that they have out there are like 3 times the size of the ones we have. The murder hornets that they have out there. You know what hornets do, right? They don't stop. They just keep on coming.
I know. Yeah.
I had a bunch of hornets in a garbage can that I had near my back deck a few years back. And I walked back there to see what the heck was going on. And I came back out with some bug spray, and I was spraying them, and they were like picking their arms up. Here, shoot me here, shoot me there. They didn't care about the bug spray I was shooting at them. In fact, 2 of them landed on me, on my sock, and bit me right through it. And I said, man, that's it. No more of these guys. I'm out of here. I called the pest guy, and he came by and he took care of them. I think what he had to do was freeze him. He shot him with some kind of a Freon stuff or something. I don't know, but it did kill him. And then he showed me what happened. I guess it was my fault, really. I was peeling corn on the cob, and I put some of the peels went into the garbage can. And when I cleaned this can out, I left the lid off, but some of the peels were still in the bottom, and they're kind of sweet. So I guess it was my fault. So I deserve the bites. And just for the viewing audience, what I did with those bites is I saturated them with alcohol, rubbing alcohol, 70% alcohol. I saturated them with alcohol for about 4 hours straight. It got the bite to go down because they hurt like hell. I'm going to be honest with you. And it's a good thing only 2 of them got on me, but they'll go after you. They'll go after you. But I think they were more interested in going into that garbage can without the lid.
Yeah.
But I paid for it. I paid for my sins. From now on, I wash everything out, and I don't do that at all. Oof.
Back to the I got a buddy in Australia too. Adam is his name, and he was telling me they've got 4 different types of yowie in Australia, if not more. Supposed to be smaller. One reaches heights of 15 feet. The other one reaches heights of 8-9 feet. And the other
smaller. Okay. Wow. Are they aggressive or non-aggressive, or did he say anything?
The larger one is extremely aggressive, which doesn't kind of work out well for people.
No. I'd imagine. And in Australia, if you look at it on a map, it is mega huge. It is really huge. I mean, it's mostly forest area too. My God.
In Indonesia, you got Orang Pendek, Orang Mawas, Orang Gedang. I mean, in all over those islands. Who the hell knows what's on those islands?
Oh, hey, well, you mentioned Indonesia. There are 4 islands of Indonesia over there. That's where the Komodo dragon came from. And those things are vicious. I mean, they have a venom that'll paralyze you, and then they eat you. Plus, they can move. Those things are fast. They will attack a human. And there's no such thing as putting your hands up and looking large, because it doesn't care. These things are the size of a miniature tank.
Yeah.
My God. I know the Komodo dragon was originally called a cryptid until an explorer came back with 4 dead bodies, 2 live ones, and he brought it back to a zoo in the United States, just to prove that they exist. So back then they used to talk about these dragons. I mean, Komodo dragons are big. It's like, I don't want to go on those beaches in Indonesia. No, I'll stay away. And something else they have there in the Polynesian countries and in Indonesia are what they call coconut spiders. Coconut spiders about 2.5 feet. They're big.
I hate them.
And they fall from trees on top of you or their prey. And the centers are, I got to say that the centers are bigger than a coconut easily. The centers are maybe 2 times bigger, maybe 3 times bigger than a coconut. So I would say maybe the size of my head on the side, maybe a size and a half bigger. And these things just drop down from the tree, bam, and they hit you and they start biting on you, and they sting you. So it's, I don't think I really want to hang out in Indonesia anytime too soon either.
No, me neither, buddy. Me neither.
But there's a lot of scary things out there people don't know about, not just in the forest, but I don't want to scare anybody away, but down in Florida on the East Coast, if you ever look at a Google picture, say, of I think I just died. Let me see if I can make this come back. I don't know. That happens all the time. But if you ever look at the East Coast over there, the ocean, you're going to see people out there swimming. Look at a Google image from the sky down, and you could see shark in the water swimming with the people.
Yeah.
And something else about Florida is that, like, the alligators also come up more northern Florida, also up the coast.
Yes.
And it's like, people have brick walls and fenced in swimming pools in their backyards for a reason. They want to keep the alligators out. But they found that these alligators can also climb the fences. They sort of use their tails to balance as their little hands are grabbing onto the fence, or going up these cinder block walls. And I mean, damn, I would hate to be in my pool enjoying the day and have a gator coming over the fence. I mean, what do you do? It's I don't know. I guess you'd have to have alarms on the top of the fence. Something comes over the fence, the alarm goes off to warn you, something's coming. That's what I would do if I lived down there, tell you the truth. That's just not something I'd want to have as a gator coming at me. So, folks, you not only have cryptids out there that can get you, but just the regular stuff that we know about. Exactly. That'll come after you too.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people realize there's crocodiles in Florida too, American crocs.
Yeah.
Down in southern Florida, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. You go out there in the Everglades, the things you see. With the company I worked for years ago, we were down there. We had a 6-man team that was, I don't want to say bodyguard, but we were pulling security for the filming company that was filming a documentary down there. And the forest ranger that we were filming, who was down there with a bunch of people who had paid, to go with the ranger and see the area and everything. The ranger got close to the water line and an 11-foot alligator came out of it at him. Oh, he had a gun, but he stumbled and tripped. But this guy was good. He rolled as he hit the ground. He pulled his pepper spray and he sprayed this gator right in the snout, and it stopped the gator immediately. The gator did like a death roll on the ground, trying to, get that off its nose, and it went back into the water. But it shows you how fast they'll come out. And this was an 11-footer. Yeah. And Jay, the head, I mean, I was about a good 20 feet away, but I could see how wide the head was on this thing. I mean, there's something, they're a problem down there. They actually hunt these things, year round.
Same as in the, yeah.
They get paid to kill these things, so they're multiplying like mad. It's sort of like the wild boar in Oklahoma and in the surrounding states, and in Missouri also. Yeah. They are multiplying and they're becoming a big problem, the wild boar. And don't think a wild boar won't go after you. It will. They are aggressive.
It will.
And therefore, why Dogman and Sasquatch has been seen so much in Oklahoma and in western Missouri, that part of the state and everything, because he's got a lot of food to eat. I guess, I'm not trying to make a joke about it, but he likes bacon. He likes pork.
Absolutely.
How are we on time today?
I think we're running pretty close.
Okay. Well, folks, while Jay's checking that out, I just want to tell you that if you can check out our Skookum session that we just did this past Wednesday, we put out a lot of really good, solid information, and it's out online. Do you remember which number that was?
That was number 6, I believe. But I labeled God, what did I label? If they go to our YouTube channel, which is the Paranormal Encrypted Crossroads, it's going to be the Skookum session way at the top.
Yeah, and it would be the first one in what, May?
Yeah,
I guess.
May. I labeled it Dogman and Sasquatch surrounded by other entities and different modes of travel, ?
Yeah, and we put out a lot of good information, both for cryptid, information and just pure science and common sense, plus quantum science, quantum physics, I guess you would call it. It was really, I think it was like one of the best ones that we've had so far, for a Wednesday session. In any case, I guess we are running out of time. I'm looking at the thing here. Our hour is up. It did go fast. I just hope everybody got a lot out of what we put out today. And we'll see you next Sunday with a guest. I guess we'll surprise them.
Yes, big surprise. All right, Nick, take it easy. Hang around for a second.
All righty. Good night, everybody.
Be good to each other, everyone. God bless. Have a good night.